Oops. I think we're ready to start now. Is that clear? Okay. Hey, good evening. Let's see, it's 6 o'clock and it is October 9th, 2025. Welcome to tonight's public hearing. My name is Jim Mazzacco. I'm the zoning examiner for the city of Tucson. We have one case scheduled for the public hearing tonight, and that is case TP-ENT-0725-00016- Administrative Professional Offices and General Merchandise Sales Building, Ward 3. Okay, a little bit about the zoning examiner process for the record. I conduct zoning hearings on behalf of mayor and council and make findings of fact, which I put into a written report along with my recommendations, which I send to the mayor and council for their consideration and for their final decision. My report will be based on information submitted to me, which includes the rezoning application, the staff report, all written approvals and protests, all correspondence and testimony given at tonight's public hearing. I'll also include in the record all documents submitted to me up to the close of the public hearing. Tonight's proceedings are being recorded. When I call on you to testify, please speak clearly into the microphone and begin your testimony by stating your name and your address. Regarding the rezonings, I will complete a preliminary report within 5 working days after the public hearing is closed. I will then prepare a final report, which will be issued 14 days after the public hearing is closed. If you would like to receive a copy of any of my recommendations or reports and you're not listed as a party of record on one of the case, on the case you want to see, you can send an email to the City of Tucson or call the City of Tucson's Planning and Development Services Department. The report, my final report on the rezoning, will be sent to the mayor and council for the scheduled public hearing on the case. The mayor and council will then vote on the matter based on my recommendations, along with other factors that they take into consideration. So tonight, first we will have the staff report. The applicant may give their presentation. The public may then testify and the applicant may respond. Let me see. For those who wish to speak, I request you stand and respond to the following. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. I already announced the first case. It has a long name, so I won't say it again. And now I'll hear from the staff report.
Thank you, Jay Olivas, lead planner with the City of Tucson. This is a request by the Planning Center on behalf of Robert Cook to rezone approximately 0.35 acres property located at 3954 East Fort Lowell Road. The applicant is proposing to rezone this parcel from R3 residential to C1 commercial for administrative and professional offices and general merchandise sales. And that would take place within an existing 2,688 square foot residential building with on-site parking. The project is subject to Plan Tucson, and I would state that there is a future growth scenario map as part of Plan Tucson, and there is a building block, and it is mixed use centers. And the project is also subject to the Grant Alvernon area plan. And the subject site on the land use map for that area plan is office, commercial, high density residential. In terms of land use compatibility, the proposed rezoning facilitates the adaptive reuse of an underutilized parcel along a key corridor with existing infrastructure and strong commercial activity The site's location along East Fort Lowell Road is a corridor characterized by established commercial businesses, office uses, and supporting infrastructure. Makes it a logical candidate for rezoning to C1. Rezoning the property to C1 enables the development of neighborhoods serving commercial uses or office uses adjacent to nearby residential areas and helps reinforce the commercial character of that corridor. The subject site, if rezoned, would be limited to land uses allowed in the C1 zone, which is primarily low-intensity commercial. To further demonstrate the land use compatibility, there are some existing buffer walls, 4 to 6 feet in height, masonry walls located along the southeast and west boundaries, which will provide partial screening and buffering to adjoining properties. Existing and future landscaping will also buffer surrounding properties. Just a brief mention of design compatibility. The building height of this structure, which is currently vacant but was a residence and former art studio. The building is currently not being used. It's 24 feet in height, which is less than the non-residential maximum building height of 30 feet allowed by this proposed C1 zone's dimensional standards. And that building height is compatible with the other existing buildings in the immediate vicinity, including an office building to the west, self-storage complex to the east, and commercial center to the north. The project requires a minimum of 9 parking spaces per the preliminary development plan and will be increased to 15 parking spaces, 1 space per 300 square feet of gross floor area. In conclusion, the proposed rezoning is consistent with and supported by the policy direction provided in Plan Tucson and the Grant Alvernon area plan. And that would be subject to compliance with the attached preliminary conditions. And the approval of the requested C1 zoning is appropriate. Staff would like to mention that their approval protest calculations for the advertising of the rezoning, we had 0 comments, 0 approvals, 0 protest, and 0% of the lot areas for any protest. So there were no protests. That concludes staff's presentation.
Okay. Just a couple of things just to clarify. You said that the property is limited to C1 uses. The name of the case is Administrative Professional Offices and General Merchandise Sales Building. So I assume that is kind of a limitation on the land uses or not?
No, Mr. Zoning Examiner, the uses are will be limited to all the C1 uses that the zoning UDC allows. The applicant put on there the office and the commercial was for the parking, as we require part of the PDP, the preliminary development plan, to put their proposed uses. So when they do come in for any changes from the future, we can then see if those uses that they put on the PDP would require a major or minor change. But there is still the rezoning change would allow all the uses in that C1 zone.
Okay, so what it appears, it's a fairly small parcel, and maybe I can ask the applicant these questions. The limit on the uses is ultimately going to be the amount of parking, the limit on the parking.
Correct.
Okay. As far as buffering, it's surrounded by non-residential uses. Is that correct?
Sorry, what was that question?
The subject property is surrounded by non-residential uses. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And there's nothing to stop the applicant or future property owner from tearing down the current building and building a new building, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. With that, applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Mazzacco. My name is Lexi Wellett. I'm a principal at the Planning Center. We are located at 2 East Congress. I'm also joined this evening by Siavash Habibi, a planner at the Planning Center. And we're really excited for the opportunity to present this case to you. So Sue, if you want to next slide it for me. The request before you is exactly what Mr. Olivas mentioned, and he did a great job presenting. So I'll keep my remarks rather brief here. But what it is we're looking to do with this property here that's located just east of Alvernon on Fort Lowell is we're looking to reposition the property. The property owner has owned this for a few years now and has found since February of this year that he's struggling to find users to locate in that, as it's really not viable for a multifamily residential use, as it's surrounded by a variety of commercial and office uses as today. And further, the Fort Lowell corridor is very, very much so evolving into a commercial space. So all of the single family residences that have located in and around this property have evolved into an office use or a rental use or have been rezoned to commercial. So with recognition to that, next slide, please. I wanted to just dive into what the merits of the site are. So currently there is an existing building on the site that is approximately 2,600 square feet. The building is in rather good condition. And so we feel that the most logical thing to do would to simply provide an opportunity for more uses to locate within that building. But that's not to say that that is solely what will happen, because the reality is we're trying to position this to better align with the market demands. And so our thought in this is because the building is in good quality, that it would be logical for it to be just adaptively reused and improved with those uses that are more compatible with the surrounding area. The site is, as Mr. Olivas mentioned, it's approximately 0.35 acres, and it is currently accessed off of Fort Lowell Road. Next slide, please. And looking at the existing zoning of the Fort Lowell corridor in and around this site, as you can see on the screen, most of it is largely commercial zoned already. We've got C1 property on the east and west of us. We've got C1 property just north across Fort Lowell. And then we've got higher intensity C2 a little bit further into the neighborhood, which is where the School of the Deaf is, as well as a self-storage facility on the south side. Just south of our property, there is a property zone P, which functions as parking for the adjacent office zone or the office use there. But the parking serves a function for a larger building, and that building is not fully occupied. So I think at some point in time, there might be further transition on the property just west of us to support perhaps more development and more offices in there. And then just south of us on our southwest or southeast corner, we've got an O2 zone property. And in that space, we've got a publishing company, et cetera. So what it is we're looking to do here is to simply rezone the R3 property that's surrounded and sandwiched by commercial or office zoning. Next slide, please. To change that to a consisting zoning designation. And the real purpose for this is to allow the property to develop with the highest and best use based on market demands, recognizing that Fort Lowell Road is a commercial corridor, and we're seeing a lot of these older residential buildings being transitioned into office spaces or even bodegas, et cetera. We want to provide that same opportunity for this parcel that is no longer really viable for multifamily uses. Next slide, please. So what it is we're looking to do, because the building is in good shape, why tear down something that's perfectly good? Our main intention here is to adaptively reuse it and simply improve the site to provide all of the things that would be otherwise required by code that are not there. And so what I'm referring to is providing a landscape buffer along Fort Lowell Road to provide that screening that's necessary, providing the actual pavement and parking spaces, providing the pedestrian access and connectivity from Fort Lowell to the building, and then also providing some vegetation on the site to mitigate for the urban heat island effect established by the asphalt there. I do want to note that as us transitioning into a commercial zone, no landscaping or screening would be required on the east, the south, or the west portions of the property, with the exception of where we are adjacent to the O3 or O2 portion on the south side of our property. Our intention at this point, recognizing that a wall already exists and a landscape border already exists on the other side, that our intention as we move through this process into developing it further and getting a new user is that a design development option or a DDO would likely be pursued to remove the requirement for that screening. However, if, at whatever point in time, if the neighboring property owner disagrees with that, a landscape border and screening will be provided on that south side there. So with that concludes my, actually one last thing I wanted to highlight was the neighborhood meeting and neighborhood outreach. As noted in our material, we were not the applicant that started this project, but as taking on this project, we understand that 2 neighborhood meetings had occurred prior to us taking on this project, where the concerns and topics expressed were largely in regards to what was going to be the use going in that building, what was going to be the building height, and truly there was a desire to bring the building a little bit closer. And so all of those things we're going to do. And I wanted to put on the record that as part of our outreach efforts, we when we took on the case, we reached out to all of the attendees who attended the first neighborhood meeting, as well as the council member's office, to introduce ourselves and let us describe the case. And we assured them that the proposal was exactly what they discussed at the neighborhood meeting earlier in the process, and that those uses that were discussed were to transition this into an office or retail use similar to what everyone else is looking at. Since sending that email out, I have not received any communication back from them. So I don't have anything else to add, so I welcome any questions from you.
You've looked at the recommended conditions from staff. Do you accept those?
I do, yes.
Okay. And you just summarized what was going on at the meeting. It seems like you're not having any protests at this point, and the issues raised don't seem extremely problematic, that you can't figure them out in the future. And you are now the front buffer yard on Fort Lowell, that's required.
Absolutely.
And the other ones are not required, but are there just because they've been there. And you're saying there may be something along O2 that may be required, but you may ask for a lesser amount of landscaping during the development review process. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So just to reiterate here, the neighboring properties, because we are zoned R3, the neighboring properties, when they redeveloped and transitioned, the onus was on them to put up a screen wall and the landscape buffering. Now that we are theoretically a commercial use adjacent to a non-residential zone, there is no requirement with the exception to that O2 zone where a landscape bordering screening would be required, yes.
And basically you look at this as an adaptive reuse of a building that you think is in pretty good shape.
I do, yes.
Okay, I don't think I have any more questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. So nobody else is going to speak? Staff, do you have any final words or any clarifications you want to make?
None.
Okay, with that, we will close the public hearing and I will prepare a preliminary report that will be due in 5 working days. And we'll end this meeting at 6:20. Okay, thank you very much for attending.